Good afternoon. This is the Corrections Subcommittee of the Government, Labor, and Elections Committee. It is March 12th and 3:36, and we're going to start our meeting. We're going to go out of order a little bit, and we're going to start with HB 612. And what I want to do is just go over that a little bit. And I also have in the room with us the sponsor of the bill. And let me just go through what this bill really does, okay? So this requires a Director of Education and Workforce Skills Training for correctional institutions to consult with the State Correctional Ombudsman about the operation of education and workforce skills training programs in adult correctional institutions. It establishes a certified peer recovery specialist training program for incarcerated individuals in the Maryland Department of Labor and authorizes the governor in fiscal year 2028 and each fiscal year thereafter to provide funding for the program in the annual budget bill. Are there any questions about sort of what the bill does or what it proposes to do by any of the committee members? Okay. Delegate Pastor, could you tell us a little bit about what brought this bill to your attention and what you really hope to accomplish by creating this legislation?
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I sit on the State Adult Prison School Commission, long title. Um, and they made recommendations. This commission was formed under a bill that Delegate Ampry wrote a few years ago and a couple of years ago. And one of the things that they recommended was that we take a close look at how this program is funded in the prisons and to help them so that they can sustain this program because everyone, those who are incarcerated, as well as the correction officers, um, and people who are outside of the walls think that this is one of the most important programs in the prisons, but it is funded purely by grants. And it is a program that is under labor, but corrections because the officers are involved when they are often working with when inmates are working with other inmates. So corrections has a piece of it, but it is primarily under labor. So the program, and they are affectionately called the purple shirts because they all wear purple shirts, so that folks can see who they are. It is essentially a drug program where people who are incarcerated, who have the lived experience, work with other incarcerated people, male and female, who also have drug problems. Well, over the years, this program has changed and emerged as a program that does more than just working with those who are incarcerated with drug problems. They now work with handling conflicts, conflict resolutions. In fact, when I went out to visit, the warden told us about a time when they really had a standoff, if you will, with some inmates, and they just were not being successful in getting them out. And they sent the purple shirts in, and they got them out immediately. So the guards, everyone see them now as a part of bringing down the temperature, changing attitudes and behaviors inside the walls. But again, this bill is primarily coming again off of this commission about trying to find some more stable money for them because every year they apply for both groups, corrections and labor, apply for the grants, but they're never sure just how much they will get, and they find themselves um, dwindling in number inside the walls.
Okay. And the other thing I noticed is that you also have some oversight on this. So you've got the ombudsman involved. Is there a reason why the Director of Education and Workforce Skills Training has to consult with the ombudsman, the correctional ombudsman, about the operation of the program?
This is how they looked at it, I guess, that they wanted to have that relationship with her, but she doesn't really control what that is about. Actually, again, it's a labor program, and so they map out what it is that they do. But the ombudsman is integrally involved in it and what they do.
Okay. I see Delegate Learman has a question, so if you'll go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was going to ask a very similar question, but was curious about whether those two positions are new or newer, this Director of Education as well as the Ombudsman. And is there just not a history of them working together? Is there not a good history of them working
No,
together?
no, no, no.
I also wondered at the overall reason and whether there was some background, that relevant background we should know.
No, and the ombudsman does not work directly with this program in that sense, not for the peer recovery counselors. They have two people that work out of labor, or they have people who work out of labor who do the training because the people who are these resource counselors are trained when they can come out, if you recall, from the hearing when when Anne spoke about it, and when she was trained, you come out, you're certified, you can come out and just get employment. And for women, that was critical when they were able to do that. So that involvement is, I guess, tangential, but in the program asking for the couple of employees, new employees, they are people who will train, and one would go with corrections. Labor and corrections made that choice that one would go with on the correction side, the other one would stay and on the labor side to be a part of the training for the incarcerated folks who
Okay.
would get in the program.
No, that's very helpful. That definitely provides the context I was looking for. One other quick question, Madam Chair, if I might.
Sure.
On the end, I'm looking at the summary of HB 612, authorizing the governor starting in fiscal year 2028 and each fiscal year thereafter. Why not require? I mean, is that intentional to give the flexibility? I just worry that, with the ability to that discretion to say yes or no, this is or isn't important, it could be years before there's funding provided for it.
Is that to me?
Yes,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, was that a calculation you made that, to
Just
for
to
now
have,
at least avoid a fiscal note and provide the flexibility to the governor? I'd rather see a requiring the governor, that's me personally, to provide funding.
yeah, and so would we. But we were trying to give the time just because we understand our fiscal situation, trying to give some time, some separation, some sunlight, if you will, before that would have to happen. And it would give us some time as well to see what other funding sources we could locate for that purpose or for the
Okay.
purposes
That
of.
makes sense.
But I
Thank you.
appreciate your question. I really do.
Yeah, and I appreciate your thinking along those lines. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. And let me add to the correctional ombudsman's situation. So that the ombudsman's role was created, I believe, about 2 years ago. And it's really to help in understanding complaints and other issues that incarcerated folks or others may have regarding the criminal justice system. And it includes as well the juvenile system under that. So we have one ombudsman, and I think she's come to testify on a couple of bills. And so this would sort of be adding to our jurisdiction in the oversight part. So just so everyone kind of understands what that really means.
Yeah, I thought that was newer. And Madam Chair, are there two different ombudsmen for one for adult and one for juvenile, or just one?
No, there is just one.
Just one.
And so her jurisdiction encompasses both adult inmates as well as juveniles. So yes. Yeah, okay. All right. Is there anything else that you think we need to know about the bill? I noticed that, and I guess the real aim here is just to make sure that the certified peer recovery specialists really have the training they need and the funding for the trainers, I guess, to,
Correct.
okay.
But the
Got it.
funding for the trainers, and also remember that those who are trained, they get their own stipend salary, if you will. So it all of that comes in, but that's not what this is for. This will take care of the trainers and the
Yes.
people that work with them. Yeah. And again, they
Okay.
want to increase their numbers. When they started, the numbers were great. The numbers are dwindling. And you'll hear later in the other bill, people are constantly asking who are on the outside of the walls, beyond the walls, to have that same kind of connection beyond, and that they really miss having that relationship, that those resource counselors beyond the wall, because they're good people to talk to. They are
Right.
all lived,
Continuing.
experienced people, and it's
Mhm.
important to them.
Got it. Yeah, and there's a fiscal note with it, which is really for the two positions. And I'm gonna just mention just as sort of a follow up with Delegate Lehman's question, is there any other funding out there available? And have you looked into that at all? Or are you opposed to specifically requiring it be in the governor's, but well, in the budget as much as we can?
Well,
Or is there some other vehicle that you can think of to fund
sure,
this
I
project?
can tell you, my days, this is Thursday, so it was either yesterday or maybe it was Tuesday, I'm not sure. Um, I did meet with a person from Long Title. I call them the cannabis people,
Okay.
and about possible funding support, because this is the main component here does have to do with drugs. And so she put me on another path, if you will, because
Okay.
she said that their thinking is certainly not in opposition to this, that they could see that relationship. The problem would be anyone, and she thought that the amount being asked for was so reasonable, and it was relatively small considering what you were getting out of it. But her concern was that those who are listed as recipients for those funds might have a problem in thinking that they would get less, that they would not get what they need in terms of allotment.
Okay.
And so the suggestion was that we reach out to some of the people who are very well apprised in terms of this program, to see if they, in fact, are part of any of the groups that are would be recipients of that cannabis fund. And so I've done that. And that's what a couple of people are in the process of doing, just gathering their people to see how they feel about it. So this is, when you talk about the funding, this is something that I will say to the commission has its own hold too, because that's the whole point of this, that we don't have to keep scraping and scrambling. And so I am waiting for these two people to get back to me about their conversations with groups that would be funded under the cannabis funding.
Got it. And Delegate Lehman, you had another follow-up question?
Yeah, that just got me to thinking when Delegate Pasteur was talking about cannabis funding. What about the opioid restitution fund? That has so much money in it. It's come in, through settlements reached by the Attorney General, and money will continue to come into that fund for years and years to come. There's literally tens of millions of dollars in that fund. But from a bill I attempted a few years ago that passed the House, but then stalled in the Senate, I did learn because I tried to get some to earmark some money for some mental health programs, and you have to amend the fund. The fund was created years ago in law by, I believe it was Delegate Rosenberg. So if you're going to add authorized uses to the fund, then you have to amend that statute to do that. But that just might be a consideration you want to look into. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You very much, Delegate Lehman. I think that there's a little bit more work that needs to be done on this bill. And I would like to just hold it and let us, continue to work towards some resolution on that. Okay. So we're going to go on to HB 108, which also happens to be Delegate Pasteur's bill. And we had discussed this a couple of weeks back in our first meeting. Delegate Pasteur, could you put yourself on mute, please? Okay, cool.
I'm trying to find a charger. I'm in committee and I'm trying to find a charger.
All right. So what we're going to do, if you recall, this bill was again a attempt to establish the release preparation program in the Division of Corrections within the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. And it required that they must establish it and submit for approval to the Office of the AG, a protocol for registering formerly incarcerated individuals in the program to have access to state correctional facilities for the purpose of assisting incarcerated individuals with release preparation. So that's the bill in a nutshell, if you recall. There were some amendments and we didn't quite have those ready. And I do believe we have a couple of them ready to go to discuss today. So what I'd like to do is just have council to at least read the First Amendment, and then the Second Amendment we'll talk about both and take them both separately. So go ahead, council, if you don't mind.
Good. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 strikes all of the language referring to the cannabis, it is the cannabis fund. And then amendment number 3, it turns the program into a volunteer services program, and it includes language allowing for a formerly incarcerated individual to register for the program under an organization or another, volunteer in an effort to shield their name. And I can share my screen if that would be.
Yeah, that may be helpful too.
Of course. 1 second. I just sent a request to Jeremiah.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, great. All right, and everyone should have received a copy of this. So hopefully you all did. And does anyone have any questions about it?
I do. It's not a.
Oh, you want to make a comment about it, Delegate Pasteur?
I do.
Okay,
when we
go ahead.
worked on these amendments, we did work with uh having a senior moment, so I can't think of her name, that runs the Lived Experience Committee, and with Mr. Davidson, who is on here now.
Okay.
So we wrote out
Mm-hmm.
some amendments because I think there was some concern, and Ms. Call, who I believe is also, I know she's on it, I see her,
Mm-hmm.
who's on the call, had some concern about those who, and maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't Ms. Call, but had concerns about those who had been incarcerated, but they had their sentences and their convictions expunged, about having their names out there, because that was a piece of this, that their names would be listed when they asked to go in for the lived experience
Okay.
process. Wait a minute, let me close this door.
Sure. And yes, and that's going to be the second set of amendments, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Ms.
Go ahead.
Colvin, when she looked at, and we never heard, we got this after we had done the amendments.
Mm-hmm.
So today, well, yesterday, actually, I took a look, or maybe it was the day before, I took a look at some of the things that she had suggested. And so today, I got a copy from my chief of staff of the revision that she had made, or the suggestion she made. I don't know that my chief of staff had a chance to talk to her or not, but I read over what she had suggested to amend the amendment in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how we would handle those who did not want their names listed. And I am prepared to accept her. I think hers is cleaner. She was concerned that there was
Okay.
confusion.
Okay.
Her certainly is brief. It's very much to the point. And so I'm prepared to use what she had stated. I wish she had been a part of this originally, because that would have been fewer miles we'd have to walk.
So Delegate Pastor, let me do this first. We're going to talk about these amendments first, okay?
Okay,
And then we're going to talk about the ones that you're talking about now, okay?
okay,
The
that
new
sounds
ones,
great. That
okay?
sounds great. I just
So
wanted to give you some history
no,
when.
understood. I was gonna let you talk to us a little bit about that, but
All
I have
right,
a
thank
member
you.
that's gonna have to leave shortly, so I need to
Okay, that's
get this
great.
moving, okay?
Yeah.
So are there any other questions from the committee members on these amendments as stated? I don't see any. I think we can then take a vote on this. Is there a motion to move forward with this set of amendments?
I move the amendments favorably, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let's just take a quick hand vote on the amendments. Everybody in favor, if they'll raise their hands. Okay. And council, is that everybody?
The amendment passes.
Okay, great. All right, now we're going to go quickly to the second amendment. And council, will you please explain again what Delegate Pastor just talked about? And or we can have the department to explain it. Which way is best?
I can certainly take a stab at it.
Okay,
And I
okay,
will, give me 1 second.
sure. And this is an amendment, everybody, that the department has brought to us, Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, to again clarify how I guess the let me leave it. I'll let you explain it, council.
Of course, I'm in the process of sharing now. 1 second.
Sure,
Technical difficulties.
no problem. And as Delegate Pastor mentioned, this is brand new. We just got this amendment.
Hello.
So
Okay.
Oh, hi, Abby.
Okay, so the amendment, and are you able to see the reprint of
Yes.
the last amendment? Okay, so the amendment involves this subsection D of the bill. So what it would do is essentially strike this provision right here, and it would insert new language that will require, the protocol of this section will require the Division of Corrections to maintain a record of registered volunteers in the program. The registration of volunteers must be made available to the public. A volunteer has the right to elect whether or not their name is disclosed publicly, and a volunteer must consent in writing to have their name disclosed to the public. And then the rest of the amendment would essentially remove all of the lingering language that refers to the volunteer disclosing their information. And of course, the department can take it from here if they like to explain.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
The amendment, all it does is it just reinforces the spirit of the Delegate Pastor's original amendment. It just tightens it up and makes it cleaner. Again, the concern, it's just the concern for the formerly incarcerated individuals and volunteers that'll be coming in, just to make sure they are protected, and it just tightens things up. It's not to get away from the spirit of what Delegate Pastor originally intended. It just tightens things up.
Got it. Okay, and do any of the committee members have any questions about the amendment?
I'd
Is
like
it-
to move the amendment favorable if there are no questions.
Yes, we can do that. So there's been a motion to move the amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. All right, so we'll take a hand count. Delegate Wu, are you able to come back on screen for a hand count? Perfect. All right. Everybody in favor, raise their hands. Council,
So the amendment passes, but I
Perfect.
do want to note for the record, because this amendment touches the last amendment, we would just need to do one more vote clarifying that we would take the information transforming the program into a volunteer services program and striking the fund and combine that with this new amendment. Just to be clear that we are getting rid of this subsection D information already.
okay, and do we need to do that by roll call, or is it okay to do
I
it?
think a voice vote is fine.
Okay, all right, then let's do that then. Everybody in favor, if they will say yes or aye?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, great. And Delegate Wu, were you on that too? Did you hear that?
His hands is raised.
Okay, all right. And Delegate Sample Hughes, you had a question?
Just clarification. So I was just making certain this was to, and that was the amendment from the department, just to cover the former incarcerated persons as they come in and volunteer.
Yes, ma'am. It's to make sure that because you will have some formerly incarcerated individuals come in that have records that were expunged. And
Yes.
by having their names made public, that would break the spirit of the expungement and expose that. So this is just to make sure that they are consenting with full knowledge that their names are going to be public, and it's for all volunteers as well.
For all volunteers and mindful of them. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That's how I thought I interpreted, but thank you for reiterating it.
It's just a protection. That's our biggest concern. We want to make sure everybody is feeling safe and there are no problems.
Sure.
Right. And
Okay.
they also have to consent as well. So,
Right.
okay, great. All right, so I think we're ready to vote on the bill itself. And so for that, of course, yes, Delegate Wu, did you have a question? Nope, okay. All right, so we're ready to vote on the bill. Is there a motion to move the bill?
I move the bill favorable as amended, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And we'll do a roll call. And council, if you don't mind helping me with the
Sure.
roll call real quick.
Of course, give me 1 second.
Sure.
All right, Delegate Lehman,
I vote aye.
Delegate Sample Hughes,
Aye.
Delegate Wu,
Delegate Fisher is excused.
Delegate Fisher is excused and Chair Crutchfield.
Yes.
All right, so the bill is approved as amended. It's passed as amended.
Great. All right, and I believe that is all we have for our committee today. Appreciate
For me to
everybody.
say thank you. I
No
appreciate
problem.
all of
Thank
that.
you, Delegate. This is a great bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
And I think with that, we can be adjourned. And is there a motion to adjourn the subcommittee meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We're adjourned.